That case of bread in your pantry, the flour sealed in the bucket, the soda you stacked in the garage for barter. You bought all of it for one reason, because it lasts. Because when the shelves go empty and the trucks stop running, you want to be the one who planned ahead while everyone else panicked. That was the whole point. Buy the cheap stuff that survives, stack it deep, sleep easy. But 7 of the things sitting on your prepper shelf right now are being quietly pulled from the food supply. Not because they spoil, not because of a recall, because of what is inside them. And the strange part, the part nobody told you, is this. The exact ingredient that made those foods last for years is the exact ingredient that is now getting them banned. You stocked them because they were stable. They were stable because of a chemical. And that chemical is on its way out. Nobody sent you the memo. The label barely changed, but the food did. This is the survival research. If you stockpile food, hit subscribe and the bell. This is where we open the files the food industry sealed shut. Let me be clear about what is happening, because the headlines buried it. Over the last 18 months, the government quietly revoked or moved to ban a list of additives. Additives that are in the cheapest, longest lasting, most stockpile-friendly foods on the shelf, the kind preppers buy by the case, the kind that survives a decade in a sealed bucket. And the reason those foods last that long is the exact reason they are now being pulled. The villain here is not a person. It is a business model. For 50 years, the cheapest way to make bread rise higher, keep soda from separating, and stop crackers from going rancid was to add an industrial chemical that costs pennies a ton. It worked. It made food cheaper and it made it last. The companies knew the safety data was ugly. They used it anyway, because there was no law stopping them and no reason to spend more. Now the law is catching up, the products are being reformulated, and the old shelf-stable versions you stocked are the ones disappearing. Stop. Before this goes further, here's what you need to know. 7 everyday foods on the standard prepper shelf are tied to additives that are now banned, being phased out, or under active federal review. Bromated bread, citrus soda, bright candy, packaged tortillas, shelf-stable snacks, boxed cereal, white-coated supplements. The exact chemical in each one, the exact regulation pulling it, and the clean, long storage version you should be buying instead. It is all in the suppressed file, step by step. Scan the QR code on your screen or hit the first link in the description and get it now. Let me keep going. Start with bread, because it is the foundation of almost every stockpile. The additive is potassium bromate. It strengthens dough and lets a cheap loaf rise high and stay soft. The problem is that potassium bromate is classified as a possible human carcinogen linked to kidney and thyroid tumors in animal studies. The European Union banned it. So did Canada, Brazil, China, and dozens of other countries. In the United States, it is still federally legal, but California banned it, effective 2027, with New York and Illinois moving the same way. Because national bakers will not run 2 recipes, they reformulate everything. Your bromated bread and flour are the versions being phased out. Still watching? Then you are already ahead of almost everyone who buys food on autopilot. Here's the part they hope you miss. The reformulated versions do not last as long because the chemicals being removed were the ones extending shelf life. Your old stock and your new stock are not the same product. Everything in the file the food industry hates is laid out plainly. Scan the QR code on your screen or hit the first link in the description. Now stay with me, because the next one is in almost every garage. Number 2 is soda, specifically citrus and fruit-flavored sodas, the cheap store brand orange and lemon lime that preppers stack by the case for calories, morale, and barter value. The additive is brominated vegetable oil. Its job is to keep the citrus flavor oils evenly mixed instead of floating to the top. It also carries bromine, the same chemical family flagged in the bread. The federal government revoked its approval outright, and the enforcement deadline already passed in August of 2025. That means brominated vegetable oil is no longer legal in food sold in this country. The cheap citrus soda that held its flavor for years on a shelf is being rebuilt with different stabilizers. The old cases you stacked in the garage may be the last of that exact formula ever produced. Number 3 is candy and brightly colored food. Red dye. Number 3 was federally revoked in January of 2025, with a hard cutoff arriving in 2027. On top of that, the government announced a plan to phase out every petroleum-based synthetic dye by the end of 2026. Those dyes are not just in junk food. They are in the cheap hard candy, the powdered drink mixes, and the colorful long shelf life treats that preppers buy, specifically for children and for trade goods. Bright color reads as fresh and valuable in a barter situation, which is exactly why those products were stocked. They are now being reformulated with natural colorants, or pulled from shelves entirely. The vivid versions you remember are going quiet, and the replacements behave differently in long storage. Number 4 is packaged tortillas and baked goods. The additive is propylparaben. A preservative that stops mold and lets a soft tortilla or a packaged pastry sit on a shelf for weeks without turning. The European Union banned it from food back in 2006, almost 20 years ago. California banned it, effective 2027, and West Virginia follows in 2028. As manufacturers reformulate, the preservative is being stripped out. The practical result is simple, and it matters to anyone storing food. The shelf-stable tortilla that used to last a month becomes the one that grows mold in a week. The product looks the same on the rack. It does not behave the same in your pantry. Number 5 is shelf-stable snacks. Crackers, microwave popcorn, taco shells, snack chips. The additive is TBHQ, a petroleum-derived antioxidant that stops the oils inside from going rancid. It is the reason a box of crackers survives years in storage. It is banned in Japan and restricted across Europe, and the federal government has it under active reassessment right now. Remove it, and the fat inside those snacks starts to turn. Rancid oil is not just unpleasant. It is the fastest way for a stored calorie source to become worthless. Number 6 is breakfast cereal and cured meat. The additive is BHA, butylated hydroxyanisole. It is the antioxidant that keeps boxed cereal and shelf-stable meat from spoiling. The National Toxicology Program has called it reasonably anticipated to be a human carcinogen since the early 90s. In February of 2026, the federal government ordered a brand new safety review of it. When that review lands, the long storage versions reformulate, and the new boxes will not sit as long as the old ones did. Number 7 is the one almost nobody thinks about: titanium dioxide. It is the white pigment that coats candy, brightens frosting, whitens powdered drink mixes, and goes into the coating of vitamins and supplement tablets. The European Union banned it from food in 2022 after concluding it could no longer be considered safe, citing concerns it might damage DNA. In the United States, it is still allowed, but federal review is accelerating. If you stockpile vitamins and supplements for the long term, this is the additive most likely to change the product in your bucket without you ever noticing. Now, let me connect all 7, because the pattern is the whole point, and it is the thing the headlines never put together. Every single one of these additives does the exact same job. It makes cheap food last longer. Potassium bromate for bread, brominated vegetable oil for soda, synthetic dye for color stability, propylparaben against mold, TBHQ and BHA against rancid oil, titanium dioxide for appearance, long shelf life, low cost, high stability. That profile is precisely why each one ended up in the foods a prepper buys by the case. And now every one of them is being banned, phased out, or formally reviewed inside the same narrow window of time. So here is the quiet truth nobody is saying out loud. The reformulated food that replaces all of this will be safer to eat and worse to store. The chemicals being removed were the ones buying you years on the shelf. Strip them out for health, and storage life goes down. That is the trade nobody warned you about, and it is happening to your supply right now, whether you track it or not. Let me be honest about what this is and what it is not, because credibility matters more than fear. This is not a claim that your stockpile is poison or that you should throw it all out tomorrow. The doses that triggered tumors in animal studies were far higher than anything in a normal serving. The science is genuinely contested, and reasonable experts disagree about the real human risk. This is also not medical advice, and it is not a substitute for reading a label yourself. What this is, plainly, is a heads up that the products you relied on for shelf life are changing, that the change is regulatory and permanent, and that it is happening quietly while the packaging stays almost identical. Knowing which 7 changed is the difference between rotating your supply on purpose and discovering a failed bucket when you need it most. 3 items I could not fit in this video are pinned in the top comment right now, with the exact regulation and the clean storage swap for each one. Read it before you shop again, because the next case you buy may already be the reformulated version. So here is the choice, and it is the only one that matters. You can keep buying on autopilot, watch your new stock spoil faster than the old stock sitting next to it, and find out the hard way the day a bucket fails you. Or you can learn exactly which 7 products changed, what replaced the additive in each, and which clean, long storage versions actually hold up over years. The food industry already made its decision quietly. The shelves are already changing while you read the same old labels. The only question left is whether you change with your eyes open or your eyes closed. If this opened your eyes, subscribe and share it with someone who stockpiles. Every share keeps this knowledge from being buried again. The next file is heavier than this one. What your grandparents stored without a single chemical, the industry made sure you would forget how to.